Good morning, friends. We're going to be starting in just a minute. So we do have some comments people have already made, questions you may have, and I think we'll definitely address those as we move through the workshop. I am Sandy Feynman Silva from the Falmouth Immigrant Rights Coalition. And Mike Kazarian, would you like to come and join us? Kasparian. I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name, I believe.
Thanks, Sandy. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Michael Kasparian. I'm the Executive Director of the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank Sandy and her team for putting this together. We had a lot of calls from a lot of our businesses, smaller businesses, who were asking if there was any type of education that was available. And we know a lot of the larger employers in town, the town itself, the school department, Cape Cod Healthcare, they were able to go out and provide these workshops for their employees and their workers so they would be fully aware of how to handle a situation if there was an encounter. And it kind of came at a good time, the timing when Sandy had started speaking to me about this, and we thought this would be great that we could offer this to our members to come out. Because first and foremost, the chamber is all about education and connecting people together. And what we don't want to see is any type of an encounter. Some of the things we've unfortunately seen in the media. We want anything to be a peaceful situation where we want people to fully comply with the law. If there is an encounter, but however to know their rights and the rights of their employees. So there's a peaceful, educated, and informed encounter. And so we thank you all for coming out. This is a workshop. It's for questions, and it's here so we can all walk away better informed to understand and be able to protect ourselves, our employees, and then any other officials who might also be involved. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michael. I also want to introduce Christina Brody, who was sort of asking people if you had questions that you wanted to share. And
I want to take a moment just to read them. So
okay.
cover them.
Yes.
Maybe I'll take one of these microphones.
Thank you. And Deborah Cattler is going to be speaking. She is also a member of the Falmouth Immigrant Rights Coalition. And she'll just read the questions that were raised, and then we'll get started.
I just wanted to quickly identify all the questions so that they're kind of in our midst as we go through the material. We've planned for a pretty thorough presentation, but want to make sure that we've addressed what you came to learn. So first of all, regarding, pardon? If we can. Regarding warrants, how do we know it's official and signed by a judge? Regarding parking lots, does it make a difference if it's a public or private parking lot regarding ICE doing staging there? What can I do in an ICE encounter as a private citizen? How can I help? How do we enforce the law so that no one breaks into buildings? Is it better to draw attention to cultural events regarding some of the immigrant community or not? So I thought those were some pretty good questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And I'm just getting used to the technology for 1 second. Hopefully this will change my... No, it doesn't work. All right. Changing slides is a challenge. All right. So the purpose of today's meeting, we can look at them for a minute. Again, as Michael alluded to help us prepare in the event of an ICE encounter, and to introduce you to some of the materials available to assist immigrants and allies in workplaces and in other public-facing venues. And we do have a literature table up in the back corner over there, and please look at it and take what you would like to inform you of your rights under the U.S. Constitution, and we will be referring to some constitutional provisions, and to address your questions. Thank you. All right. And I just have to make sure you tell me if you're doing them or I'm doing. All right. Yeah. Let me just get a little bit organized here. It's a little complicated. All right. As mentioned, we are going to be alluding to warrants quite frequently. ICE can enter public spaces without what we call a warrant. ICE can also make warrantless arrests based on reasonable suspicion, which is similar to probable cause. So there is some gray area there requiring personal judgment about whether the reasonable suspicion rises to the level of arresting someone. ICE can also make, in your brochure, the front page of the four-page business advisory pamphlet details these issues, and we will be referring to warrants quite frequently as we go along. All right. This slide here, and I hope I didn't. Did I miss one? Let me look. No. Okay, so that's. All right. Now this is a warrant. And as you can see in your, you don't have copies of this, but as you can see on the screen, a valid, what we call a valid judicial warrant is a warrant that is signed by a judge or a magistrate issued from a district court. So it's an official court document. ICE frequently has asserted that they had a judicial warrant when indeed they had what is called an administrative warrant. And an administrative warrant is not signed by a judge. It's signed by an employee of the courts, perhaps, or of an agency like ICE. It may be signed by an ICE official and not a judge. So the warrant, an administrative warrant, does not have the authority that a signed judicial warrant has. It also doesn't, it would allow entrance into private a judicial warrant allows entrance into private residences for criminal investigations, again, based on the probable cause provision. A judicial warrant entails that law enforcement can force entry into residences or businesses. An administrative warrant, on the other hand, is not signed by a judge. It authorizes arrest for civil migration violations, such as being in the country without status. So this is not a criminal, this is not a document that permits arrest for criminal violations if all you have is an administrative warrant. Administrative warrant does not give permission to enter a home or private space without consent. And we will be talking in more detail about these various provisions and so forth. Let me just go to the next one. Are you doing this? Okay. Let me just, and this slide is a little bit of a summary of what business owners can do to make their locations more safe, and kinds of steps they would have to take. The first step is to put a sign on private areas of your business. And this particular provision, again, differentiates between public spaces and private spaces in the business setting. If you are able to, obviously bathrooms are private, but if you are able to designate a room in your business setting, an office, for example, perhaps if you are a restaurant, the food preparation area is private. So again, these are areas that businesses normally would not allow access to the public. And with respect to ICE, if ICE does not have a judicial warrant to display to you, the business owner, or the faith community director of the facility, then they are not permitted to enter that private space in your venue without a signed judicial warrant dated within 2 weeks of the encounter, and detailing specifically the person that they're looking for and what the circumstances of the potential arrest would be, what are the charges, and where does that person live. So if the ICE agent does not have that piece of paper called a judicial warrant, they are not permitted to go into the private spaces of your facility. One of the important parts of making the environment safe is to designate an ICE liaison, a person in your business who would be the public-facing representative, who would talk with ICE officials if they knocked on the door or came into your store or the public area of your facility. And you, again, using the pamphlet that you have, you would train your liaison on how to respond to ICE. And we'll talk briefly about what you should and should not do. We want people to be safe. We want the law to be complied with, and again, training a person designated to represent the public face of your business is important in this regard. You also want to train your staff to make sure that they know how to conduct themselves. If an ICE agent appears, what they should and should not say to the ICE agent, who, and again, they will need some training to make sure that they also are safe. Now, this slide details some of the provisions of your rights, and I'm as a business and as an individual. And the Fourth Amendment has several provisions that are pertinent to our relationship between communities and ICE agents and other law enforcement agents. Everyone, including immigrants, have rights under the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments of the U.S. Constitution. And these rights are detailed here, and this is page 2 of your pamphlet, so that this is taken right out of the pamphlet. You have a right to remain silent and not answer questions about your name or what your position is, what are you doing at the location, and so forth. You can withhold documents. Yes.
Assert your right to remain silent as well.
Yes, you may. Yes, it would be wise to declare that under such and such an amendment or under the U.S. Constitution, I have a right to remain silent. You should withhold documents such as an ID, which you do not want ICE to take, work schedules, time cards. These you do not have to share with ICE unless they are named in the judicial warrant, and if ICE has a warrant. You have a right to record interactions, so you may use your cell phone to take a video as the encounter is occurring, and we'll talk further about why this is so important. You have a right to alert others out loud that ICE is in the building or outside the building, and you have a right to access private spaces in the building, to restrict private spaces in the building. And again, you can restrict ICE's access to the private spaces, but only if they do not have a signed judicial warrant. If they have a signed judicial warrant for the named person, and that person is in the building, you have to cooperate with them. You can refuse a search, even if ICE presents a document, and the warrant must detail very specific information about what kinds of searches are permitted. And you can request legal counsel. You can ask to speak to your lawyer, and we do recommend that certainly larger businesses have a legal consult, a person that they can call if necessary. Okay. But don't, no, I'm doing that. But don't, okay? So this one is looking at it from the other side. You do not want to enter into an altercation with an ICE agent or with any law enforcement official. You do not physically block an agent. You do not give false information. You do not help someone flee. So there's sort of a gray area there. You don't help somebody, which is aiding and abetting a fugitive or from justice. Yes, but they must be named in the signed warrant. And you must, was that all I was going to say? Again, you must not refuse entry after the signed warrant has been produced. And it must include, again, all the details we've alluded to, the correct address of the person named, the name of a person, signed by a judge with a clear time frame, so it's within 2 weeks of the day that ICE shows up at your business, and a clear scope of what ICE can and cannot do, or can do. So again, I am repeating myself, but once we get the idea of how this whole system works, I think we feel more confident that we do have the tools to at least be ready. And it's inevitable that ICE will return within the next few years, for sure. And I'm going to turn it over to Deborah, who will talk about a few other items.
Just show me how to advance the slides.
Push the right button.
Okay, perfect. Ah, that makes me feel tall. Okay, so just as a reminder, we've designed this brochure so that this inside section can almost be like a safety poster that you hang up in your place of business or a place where the public is coming, to remind your staff. You can put it in the workroom to remind them of what their rights are and what they should do when a federal agent enters. Oops, I forgot to advance the slide. Okay, here we go. So if a federal agent enters, and again, as Sandy said, can be repetitive, but this can be a stressful situation. So the more you review it in your mind, the more you might be prepared. So you clearly state that they may not access private areas without a judicial warrant, letting them know they don't have permission to enter. Hopefully, you will have your liaison there who can be the person to deliver this message, but if all of your staff are trained, at least they can assert the rights as well. Lock any interior doors. And you can alert, as Sandy said, all present that a law enforcement agency is attempting to enter the premises. So let, staff stay calm, follow the protocols that we've put in place. Filming the interaction. I want to let people know about a video. It's about 3.5 minutes long. That's very useful in educating you about how to take a video. It's at the website called wehaverights.us, about 3.5 minutes long, and it's very useful. But, as always, use your judgment about filming. You want to stay safe. You want to stand far enough back from the agents that you aren't, impeding what they're doing, and that your phone won't be grabbed out of your hand. Realize that you can open up your camera from your lock screen. You do not have to unlock your phone to start filming. If you are asked to step back, do comply with that. You can videotape your feet moving so that you've documented that you are complying, but you do not have to comply with an order to put your phone away. It is your right, again, your judgment about whether it feels safe, but it is your right to keep your camera out and to continue filming. And you can say, I'm going to continue filming, but I'm going to move back. What else? And if you decide to narrate what you are saying, state only factual things in your video. Yes, Judy?
So, is there a perimeter, an area where you are allowed to, how close can you get? Because the reason I ask this question is because Representative Stephen Zaros has proposed a bill called the HALO.
Yeah.
Act, and I'd like to hear the distance, and I'd also like to encourage people to call his office and let them know how pissed off they are about this bill.
Okay, so Judy mentioned the HALO bill, which Stephen Zaros is proposing, that lists a perimeter distance that people will not be allowed to go in, but of course that has not passed. And Judy is urging us to not have that bill go forward in Massachusetts and to let our legislators know. But as of now, that rule does not exist, so there really is no perimeter. I would just suggest that people stand far enough back that, we say kind of like at least 6 feet, more than an arm's length away, so that you won't be grabbed, your phone won't be grabbed. We want people to stay safe. And ask agents to identify themselves, what agency you're with, please show me your ID. They may not, they may refuse, but if you are videotaping, if someone is videotaping, you have evidence that that request was denied. So again, ask for that warrant. Please show me your warrant. And if they produce a judicial warrant, Sandy went over it in pretty good detail, you do want to review it. So just make sure that whatever is happening has been, has been given permission on the warrant. And if so if you decide to grant entry to any private spaces, make sure that the agent is complying with what is written in the warrant. And you may object if they are doing something that is not in the warrant. Again, you're just trying to document what they are doing, whether they are complying, and that you have objected. So if it's that administrative type of warrant, not a judicial warrant, you don't have to say whether a particular employee is working that day. You don't have to take the agent to the employee named on the warrant, okay, even if they are there. So just in this regard, I would say, and I also want to add, it was on the first slide, but we aren't lawyers. So I want to say that. But you know, we've urged you not to lie to agents, but you can remain silent in the sense of, you know, you're asserting your right to not share information that is not specifically required to be shared by a judicial warrant. And don't help agents sort people by immigration status, by country of origin. I mean, that seems kind of obvious, but, you know, it can be scary in that moment if they're requesting that. You can loudly inform people who are present that they don't have to answer questions, they don't have to show identification. Again, you're just letting people know your rights, and you have the right to inform other people of their rights. And finally, if anyone is detained, ask the agent where they're being taken. Again, they may not tell you. And we'll go over some information in a few slides about how to find somebody if they've been detained. And finally, as we said, you know, hopefully someone is recording what is happening, but even if you've recorded it, you might want to write things down afterwards just so that it can document this all when it's fresh in your mind. And we do, the reason you want to be documenting what is happening, and I think we've shared that, but it can be useful for anyone's attorney to have documentation of what happened. So, yeah. So Sandy, I think you're up for this next part.
She's very tall. She's very tall. I'm very short. I used to be taller, actually, not long ago. But anyway, so I know it is a complicated subject, but I think we're getting the message about it's related to the law, you know, it's related to legal considerations, to human rights. And we'll now look at some of the literature that we have been sharing with immigrants and allies. And this document is in your pamphlet, and if you don't, in your packet. If you don't have a packet, you can take copies. It looks like this, and it's a very useful document, particularly for the immigrant community. It details your basic rights, rights when driving, which we haven't talked about, rights if an immigration official comes to your home or the workplace, rights in terms of if an immigration official comes to the workplace as well. And it details in a very encapsulated form with a few seminal bits of information, so it's quite useful. Most of our literature, pretty much all, is available in 4 languages: English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. And if you know of other language communities that would be helped by access to this literature, we can try to start building more in our database. We actually have a QR code that will take you directly to a website page and links to all of the documents that that we're mentioning today and that we have been distributing to the immigrant community and to the ally community as well. We have it. I can put it. I have a copy of it. I can put it on the at the front table. I have it on a piece of paper somewhere. So these are also other materials that we have been distributing, and these are particularly useful for immigrants. Family emergency preparedness documents is one of the materials, And this alerts migrants to items that they should not carry with them, because if they do carry their passport, for example, it may be taken if they are and if they enter into an encounter with ICE, and items they must carry with them if they are detained, if they are stopped, even for a minor infraction. They need to carry certain documents related to their immigration status. So the item on the left is the Family Emergency Preparedness packet. It's I believe it's 4 pages. The other item on the right is called an Immigration Helplines packet, and that material gives them information on contacting who they should contact, how to get in touch with a lawyer, and some regional contacts on the Cape and off Cape that they can call or email to get information, again, in order to help them negotiate this very dangerous time when a family member may have been detained or they may be in fear of being detained themselves. We also have the red cards. You've probably heard about these. And the packets do have a few of the red cards in different languages. And there is a little box, and you can take some red cards if you would like to have some. And again, they're available in 4 languages. And on one side, it details your constitutional rights. So in English. And each card has, in a specific language, each card contains details about your constitutional rights. Do not open the door if an immigration agent is knocking on the door. Do not answer any questions from an immigration agent if they try to talk to you. You have the right to remain silent. Do not sign anything without first speaking to a lawyer. You have the right to speak with a lawyer. If you're outside your home, ask the agent if you are free to leave, and if they say yes, leave calmly. Give this card to the agent. If you are inside your home, show the card through the window or slide it under the door. So that is detailed on one side of all of the cards, regardless of the language. On the other side is what you would say to the immigration official that is at your door. I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. I do not give you permission to enter my home based on my Fourth Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, or unless you have a warrant to enter. And signed by a judge or magistrate with my name on it that you slide under the door. I do not give you permission to search any of my belongings based on my Fourth Amendment rights. I choose to exercise my constitutional rights. These cards are available to citizens and non-citizens alike. So that is what we have on the red card. So they are very important for people to carry with them. If you have people who come to your home to do work, you might want to share some of this information with them and hand it out to people that are doing construction projects at your house, landscaping, home maintenance, and so forth. They will be very grateful to have this information. And I think Deborah's next. Are you? Okay.
So here's what I mentioned earlier, that there is a website that that ICE maintains to find a person who's been detained. So this is something for you all to know and to share with other people. It can sometimes take maybe as long, I mean, I don't know exactly how long, but it can be 48 hours for a person to actually appear in the website. You know, ICE has been removing people from the state very quickly and flying them to other states, prisons in other states. But once they have landed somewhere, they will appear in this website. You can find them with their name and country of origin. But the best way to find people is through their A number, it's called. I hate to use the word alien number, but that's what the A stands for. And if you have that number ahead of time for people, it does make it easier to find people in the ICE locator because you know, names can be misspelled. So it can be a little harder to find people with their name and country of origin. And that is in your packet as well. Support for detained people and their families. A lot of the information that we've provided in the packet can provide that. We also have information on this last page, the 4th page of this brochure. There's an organization called BJON, the Boston Immigrant Justice Accompaniment Network, but it doesn't just operate, I know it's a mouthful, it doesn't just operate in Boston, and they can provide things on that list like accompanying people to ICE check-ins, giving legal referrals. One of the most important things that they do is they can provide bond support for people, actually pay the bond if people are able to get a lawyer quickly and get a bond hearing, which has become more challenging to get a bond hearing, but if they are able to get it, BJON can pay the bond for them. What else? Letters of support for the family. They provide $20 a month in commissary. And I just heard recently that someone wrote to BJON saying $20 in here is like $1 million. So, you know, it helps them buy some necessities while they're in prison. Letters of support for their bond hearing, just letters to them, so they're having some contact from the outside world. So that is one way to support people. And finally, we want to let you know about the Luce hotline to report an ICE encounter. And if you see ICE, whether it's out in the public, whether it's in a workplace, or you know, any place where the public is gathering, you know, inside or out, you can contact that phone number. This QR code on the, what is that, the left, the big one, puts the contact information directly into your phone if you want to hold your phone up to that if you don't have the number in your phone already. And basically what happens is, this is statewide, you call that number and the operators alert local people who can go out to the location, and if possible, if arriving in time, can help you assert rights and to document what's going on. So this is just, again, a repeat of a lot of what we've told you. It's a summary, but if you want to take a quick picture of this, get the signs posted ahead of time in private areas. Designate your point person to handle any agent interactions. Train your staff on their rights and post that protocol. You can use this document to do that, or you can come up with your own protocol. Finding an immigration attorney ahead of time so that you can call for advice if ICE is there, and also help your employees. Keep the Luce hotline number in an accessible place, and a list of emergency contacts of your employees. In the worst case scenario that someone is detained, you're able to let their family know. And yeah.
I'd like to come back to the questions that we asked to make sure we've addressed them. There's some that haven't been addressed, and so we might want to know who those people are so we could follow up after a little research. We've talked about how do we know if a warrant is official. I think that's been pretty clear, right, for those who asked that. Parking lots, we didn't address that, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if any of us do. So who had that question? Maybe just tell me, and we'll see if we can follow up and find out. What can I do in an ICE encounter as a private citizen? So one of the things you can do is have that LUCE phone number in your phone and contact them. They will send a trained observer out. How can I help? Sandy's probably going to say more about this, but this being part of this organization has helped me feel like I'm doing something concrete. I get very frustrated and feeling helpless sometimes, and so we've worked by going to businesses individually. In my mind, most of us don't work for money, so we have time, and if it would be helpful to come into your business to train a group of your employees, several of us would be willing to do that. How do we enforce the law so that no one can break into our buildings? If people have a signed judicial warrant, they should be allowed in, should be allowed to do what they're intending to do. Otherwise, we can do what we can to film it to make sure that they're not forcing their way in when they don't have a judicial warrant. Is there a better way to draw attention to cultural events, or is it better to draw attention to cultural events or not? I'm not sure what you think. It's a hard question. You know, are you saying if we promote them a lot, will that draw ICE agents to the event?
Do you have any data that suggests that?
Hi, I'm Alice Kochimba, and I'm head of the Falmouth Cultural Council, and we just funded a program in one of our schools for a Brazilian festival, essentially. And I don't want to, and I don't know if you have facts about this, but I don't want to draw attention that might actually draw ICE agents to a school.
I want to make a couple comments about that. First of all, we are not telling the immigrant community how to organize and what it is that they should do. So in the event that you are planning an event like that, I would say to seek advice and from leaders in the immigrant community to see what they think in terms of the safety. Another thing we can do is send out a team of people to just be kind of safety marshals to be there in the event that something happens. But I don't have statistics. I mean, I don't know if anyone has about whether there have been incidences. I mean, I know that, for example, they were doing a vaccine clinic on Martha's Vineyard. So they asked a group of us here to go to the boats and just see if anyone was heading over on the boats. So there are things you can do to try to make it safer, but yeah, that would be my 2 comments. But
I wonder about asking some of the local trained observers to just be there.
yeah, that's who I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, that's the LUCE Rapid Response Team.
So I just want to know, this is mostly about businesses, are schools and churches exempt or non-exempt?
Schools and churches are not officially exempt in terms of their public-facing space. But when we talk about the business community, it's a large umbrella. Any organization that has a public-facing component and a private-facing component, a social service agency, Falmouth Police Department, schools, faith communities, all of these, again, are work with and for the public. And they deliver services, goods, commodities, information, and so forth to the public. And yet they can be targets for ICE actions. And essentially, we want all of these venues to know that there are things they can do to protect themselves by creating private space within the building, by insisting that ICE officials carry a signed warrant with them before they knock on their door. And we want all of those venues to know what they do if and when ICE comes into their public space. A hospital, for example, they're not protected. They are protected with respect to the private space warrant requirements. And to the degree to which you make your environment safe, you will be helping make sure that all of our residents in the U.S. are complying with the various constitutional amendments, and they're providing safety to not only their employees but their customers. So we're customers of businesses. We could be in a business setting when ICE shows up. So I think this information is really important to everybody. And I did want to mention that we do have cards. You can take some of these. And these are on card stock, so you can hang them up in the spaces in your business or a public-facing organizational environment. And we also have a card that we stand with immigrants. If you want to put this in your window, you can do that. But I think why don't we
Can I make one more?
entertain?
May I
Yes.
make one more comment about that? So the Falmouth Immigrant Rights Coalition has, and Sandy's going to say a little more about us, but we've been walking around and driving around Falmouth for months now, and other people have been doing it around other Cape towns with these folders and going into businesses and talking with businesses who want the information. And our hope was that we could get that information out more efficiently by having a meeting, but we continued to do that. And when you asked how you can help, that's a way we are trying to get people who can help us get this information out, have those conversations one-on-one with business leaders, business owners, the faith community. I mean, I'm sure some of you here probably have already had that conversation and have already been given that packet. But yes, we're still trying to roll this information out to everyone who wants it.
Yes, and just to inform you, we've actually already gone to about 250 businesses. We still have a list of about 140 yet to directly contact, and the response has just been amazing. We have evidence, and we've been keeping documentation on a spreadsheet, that about 90% of those we encountered were extremely positive and very grateful to have the information. A very small number have responded neutrally or rejecting the material. So we felt this was really a huge validation of the important work that our community is doing. Was there a comment from the back? Yes, Kristen.
Sandy, my family in Minneapolis and my 15-year-old grandson live very close to the murder that just took place, and the schools are definitely being targeted. His South Minneapolis High School is targeted. Roosevelt High School, which is a whiter high school, has also been targeted. The schools are a target because they are heavily Somali and Hispanic. So are you guys doing things in coordination with our school district, or is that a whole separate thing? Because that ICE is not
Yes.
Observing any rights that schools may
Right.
actually have.
Yes, we are actually. Back in January, we contacted Superintendent Lori Durr, had meetings with her, and Henry St. Julian, our diversity equity officer for the Falmouth Public Schools. And we've worked closely with them over these months, providing literature. The State Department of Education has put out an advisory for schools and Lori is following that advisory. She's also been working with a partner organization, Latinx in Action, with an initiative that Latinx in Action has begun, which is to reach out to superintendents Cape-wide and ask the schools to provide assistance to immigrant families to produce and maintain family preparedness documents, particularly care authorization documents, which would designate to another person the authority to care for their child or children if or when a family member was detained by ICE. So the Falmouth Public Schools are currently doing this. Their staff is meeting with individual families to fill out all the paperwork, some of which has to be notarized. And I am now a notary, so I'm going to be called upon, if necessary, to notarize the documents. But a lot of these conversations have to be done in the native language of the immigrant participant. So they are providing interpreter services for these conversations. So we plan to go to the Upper Cape superintendents as well and see if we can implement it in Mashpee, Sandwich, and Bourne. So we're going to be working on this. We are working on it as we speak. I think Christina will help with other questions. And I just wanted to mention again, the Falmouth Immigrant Rights Coalition was founded back in, I believe, January or December of 2024. We have over 400 members, and we are doing a lot of, again, sharing of literature. And now we have a partnership with Latinx in Action, which is a Hyannis-based immigrant assistance agency. We are partnering with them to help with some of their mission to provide resources to immigrants, funding, perhaps for the basic necessities of life if a member has been detained by ICE, rides to court appearances or to medical appointments or bringing their children to school, because many immigrants are fearful of going out, and providing them with food support and other information. So that partnership will involve human power, to have people volunteer to do different activities. We have bi-monthly meetings, bi-monthly, I think, twice a month, actually, I should say. I don't know if it's bi-monthly. But our email is not on here. Yes, it is. I'm going to change our email address, but for now it's the Falmouth Immig Rights Coalition @gmail.com. It's a mouthful. We do now, as was mentioned, have a QR code to access the literature that you see on the table and that's in your packets. So if you want to get up here and use your phone to capture that QR code, you can do that. We also have an address, a web address, through Indivisible Falmouth. So it's indivisibleFalmouth.org/immigration-rights/ and that will take you directly to our page of literature in 4 languages. But are there other questions?
Yes. Hi, my name is Ocean Eversley. I'm the outreach coordinator for Falmouth Cultural Council. I have 2 questions. One, if you see someone getting arrested, do you have specific questions you would ask the person being detained to help them, like their name, their telephone number, or whatever, what you consider the most important? And 2, if the person detained calls police to prove that they are a United States citizen or legal in the country. Are the police, are the local police here trained to address that? And could they tell the ICE agent, look, I recognize this is a proper ID, do not take them?
Speak to that? Or the first question? Then?
Remind
The
me.
first question is,
What question?
what are the best questions to ask someone who's detained to help them?
So there's controversy about this, and I've heard lots of different opinions about whether you should ask the person for their name or not. But one thing you can ask for that doesn't seem to have much controversy is if there is a phone number you can call for them so that you can let someone know, and then that person presumably will know who it was. You know, the issue with having them say their name on camera is that, you know, ICE will be gathering any information. Anything that you are hearing, they are hearing as well. So asking for a phone number, asking if there's, you know, anyone that you can contact for them, I think is the best question. And also just helping to help them understand their rights. You know, we tell people, don't shout, you know, stay silent, you know, but you can say, you have the right to remain silent. Now, of course, there might be language barriers, so that's an issue as well. But that's what I would say, ask for a phone number of someone you can contact for them and help them assert their rights, if you can.
Okay.
Or you can ask, do you have a lawyer? And can we contact your lawyer?
Okay, and the second question is, if someone is proving their right to be in this country, either if they're American citizen and they're being treated like they're not,
If you want, I don't care.
do the police, or
It's
Or the
a
police.
rather ambiguous issue related to police, local law enforcement, because legally, local law enforcement has nothing to do with federal law enforcement. So there's sort of an ambiguous set of issues. We want local law enforcement to show up when we're in an emergency situation. But when they find out that it's an ICE-related situation, they may refuse to show up, leaving the citizens and residents in a potentially very dangerous situation. So with respect to calling on police to verify somebody's legal status as a citizen of the U.S., I'm not sure local law enforcement can would be able to help that person. Producing a birth certificate, I guess, would be helpful, but it's really a difficult situation. We are having an event on January 22nd in Falmouth from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Senior Center, co-hosted by the Select Board, the Town Manager, and our organization, the Falmouth Immigrant Rights Coalition. And we will be talking about some of these issues, that ambiguous relationship between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement. And Sheriff Donna Buckley is going to be speaking, and other, I think we will have some other people in the legal area. And this is on January 22nd
What time?
at 6 to 8 p.m.
At the
at
Senior
the
Center.
Falmouth Senior Center, which will be open for us. So we will be publicizing this event more in the days to come, but it's in the advanced planning stages. Any other
Other questions?
questions?
In wrapping up, because we did say it would go till 10, if you have interest in doing more, make sure you're signed up with Falmouth Immigration Rights Coalition. There are a lot of different roles to play. You don't have to go to a business, but you could go to businesses. You could be on the media committee. One of our members created a film festival in the fall and might do more this spring. Might like some help with that. So there are a lot of different roles to play.
Mm-hmm.
To learn more about it, attend one of the meetings, which are by Zoom, and they're about twice a month, And you learn a lot just from listening in there. That's how I kind of started listening and thought, where can I fit, you know?
Right. We have about 6 committees, including a legislation committee. So if you wanted to help with our legislation, information sharing, lobbying, talking to our legislators, you can do that. We have a family assistance committee. We have a media committee. We work with the Luce Hotline group and have several other committees as well. So we're hoping that the community is benefiting from the work we're doing, and we thank you very much for coming here this morning, and we definitely thank Michael Kasparian. Did I get it right? Thank you. Okay. For working with us and partnering with us to present this program this morning. Thank you so much.